Now, the tragedy unfolding in Libya right now was caused by the latest in a global series of extreme weather events. In Europe, record-breaking heat and wildfires earlier this summer were followed by the opposite extreme, intense rainfall and dramatic flash floods. Today, members of the European Parliament met to discuss how to protect Europeans from such extreme weather events. Before we see what came out of that, let's have a look at some recent scenes in Europe.
Greece, August 2023. An inferno rages northeast of the capital, Athens, one of many deadly wildfires to hit Greece this summer. Less than 2 weeks later, a different kind of devastation. Emergency crews use helicopters to pluck stranded residents from rooftops after floods swallowed their entire village. Greeks were killed in the flooding too. Greece was by no means alone. Floods and fires have also caused devastation in other countries, like here in Spain. The centre and north of the continent are also sweltering. The UK and Germany have both been seeing temperatures exceeding 30 degrees in September, the time of year that cooler autumn weather usually sets in. The extended summer might bring joy to some, but here too, the impact is concerning. Dangerous algae have spoiled this lake in Germany that was previously used for swimming. Now, it's a danger to humans and animals. In Switzerland, glaciers have recorded their worst melt rate since records began more than a century ago. Experts the world over say it's time for urgent action on climate change, or this summer's extremes will become the new and increasingly deadly European normal.
Paul Holmgren is a Swedish member of the European Parliament. He belongs to the Greens and sits on the Environment Committee. Mr. Holmgren, thanks a lot for your time. Has today's debate on how to better protect Europeans from extreme weather resulted in any plan of action?
Not yet, but hopefully in the near future. And we all know that the global warming leads to more energy in the atmosphere, in the oceans, and a stronger hydrological cycle, which means more severe droughts, but also more severe floodings. And then, of course, disasters as we see in Libya right now, and also wildfires all around the world, and also more energy to the tropical hurricanes and storms, specifically in the Atlantic Ocean.
I mean, we saw the pictures there. It's been quite a tough year for Europe and indeed the rest of the world. Has this record summer resulted in more European unity, given the urgency of this topic?
I think so. I mean, me being a green politician and also a meteorologist, climate expert, and having worked with these issues for 20, 25 years now, it's no surprise to me that this is happening now. We're at 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels, and we're heading for 2 degrees in roughly 20, 25 years. So to me, it's no surprise, but unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people all around Europe, politicians included, that has been sort of asleep and thought that disasters of this proportion would happen much later in history, but it's happening now.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the first year we've seen such record temperatures in the summer. What is standing in the way of decisive action in Brussels?
Well, as you probably know, we often, when it comes to political debates, have the conservative side that want to more or less lower the ambition when it comes to increased ambitions when regarding creating a sustainable society in the future. So there's always this debate with more or less usually more than 50% then on the side where they want to lower the ambitions. And this is dreadful, of course, because for every year without sufficient action, these kinds of severe extreme weather events will be more and more frequent in Europe and in the rest of the world. And that means, of course, also that we need to focus a lot of climate justice. After all, it is the European Union, alongside with the United States, of course, that have released by far the most greenhouse gases over history. We're usually right now focusing on the emissions in China, but this is something that has grown for centuries, and over that long time period, it's countries like the United Kingdom, Germany and United States that needs to take the full responsibility.
Right. Quickly on this one, climate change doesn't know borders. We know that. We've seen with Storm Daniel moving from Greece to Libya. Are there wider discussions taking place to work together with countries outside of Europe to mitigate its impact?
Yeah, I mean, of course, especially concerning the upcoming event, COP28. Unfortunately, we are changing now and having a new climate commissioner. I think Frans Timmermans has done a good work for the first 4 years as climate commissioner. We will see what will happen now when probably then Hoekstra from Netherlands will take that responsibility. And I myself don't have, unfortunately, very high credibility in him, especially not when compared to Frans Timmermans.
Okay, due to time, we'll leave it here. Green member of the European Parliament, Paul Holmgren, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Now, warming oceans are life-threatening for many animals and plants. In the US, coral reefs in the south of Florida are particularly endangered by consistent high temperatures, up to 37 degrees Celsius. Some have already died off. Now, some environmental activists are trying to save the corals by using nurseries and cold storage. DW's Ines Pohl went to Key West to find out more.
The brilliant white of the corals might look pretty, but it is a sign of decay and death. Several times a week, members of the Coral Restoration Foundation check the condition of the nurseries where they breed corals. When they have reached a certain size, they are planted in the damaged reefs to ensure their survival.
Our team has poured our hearts and soul into building this nursery up over the last 2 years. This is our newest nursery, kind of our baby, our project. It's really heartbreaking to see years and years of work be derailed in the matter of a few days.
But Bailey and her team don't give up. In exceptional cases, they try to save what they can.
So when we're pulling these corals out, we did it from our nurseries, through all of the nurseries throughout the Keys. And so we just cut those corals off of the coral trees that we have, put them into crates.
From there, they are placed in large containers that are brought ashore by boat to cold storage facilities.
Hopefully we can hold them there for the rest of the summer, but the goal is to bring them back to our nursery setting at the end of the summer once temperatures cool down. They are so stressed, and between the bleaching and the temperature and the transport to there, it's probably gonna be a survival thing for the next 3 months until we can get them back in the ocean.
Corals have been bleaching in response to rising temperatures for a long time, but this year the situation is extreme. Because it was so hot, so early, the bleaching period is very long and many corals will not be alive when temperatures drop again.
These animals are hundreds and hundreds of years old, and they can die in the matter of days or weeks. Coral reefs are one of the most vital and biodiverse ecosystems that we have on this planet. Corals themselves are responsible for 1 in 10 breaths that we take. The animal, the algae that lives inside of the corals photosynthesizes and produces oxygen for us, so they are just as important for us as trees.
Although temperatures may drop a bit in the fall, it's only a matter of time before they rise again and become life-threatening for corals in the boiling oceans. Climate change is no longer a theory here in South Florida. Its deadly force can be seen everywhere.